Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and welcome back to another review. And this is a review of a Blu-ray that I got thanks to 1,000 thank yous to Duckmanxxx. This guy was so nice that he had sent me this, the Blu-ray of The Blob. The Blob is one of my favorite films of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite horror films of all time, one of my favorite 80s films, one of my favorite creature feature films. I even did a review that was over an hour long. Okay, I did a review like an hour and some minutes long. So I'm going to put that review down below. I also was part of a second video where I was in a discussion with this film with a few other folks called Freaky Fucking Friday. And the guy actually did a really nice job where he put clips in and such of me and some other people talking, and he actually put film clips from the movie itself. Like, he did a really great job editing. So I'm gonna put that down below. So you can check out either video. My hour-long video is just me talking about just like this. The other video is well edited. The guy did a great job editing film clips and images on the screen itself, and really a fun video. But Duckmanxxx, I think he must have known I'm a big fan of this film. I was so pissed at Twilight Times because they released this in a limited edition of like 5,000 units, and at the time I was saving up money. It like really quickly got sold out, and then it was selling for 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks online, and I'm sorry, I'm not paying that much for one thing, especially for a Blu-ray that I love the film, but it doesn't really have much for features, especially compared to like Stream Factory stuff and other releases. But to have this as a gift is a fantastic gift. Excellent gift. I hope he didn't spend an arm and a leg on it. But before I get more into the review, just going to show you this is what the front looks like, which is the theatrical poster. The back, which actually has two reviews from Janet Maslin of the New York Times, says this: by any reasonable standard, Chuck Russell's The Blob is new and improved, a more professional effort in every way. The special effects look sickeningly good, and the actors show signs of being able to act. A lively, grisly, better than average, high-tech monster movie. While Variety says, a great B-movie with an A-pick budget, The Blob is back with a vengeance, updated from the original 1958 film. It has awesome, no-expense-spared special effects and a feisty female hero. It's a horrific outing that should prove thoroughly satisfying for fans of the genre. I definitely agree with Variety. So there's a couple of good reviews on the back there. And it does have a little booklet. So that's the front. I guess this was another poster, which I will admit, I thought the theatrical posters from back in the day are pretty shitty. Like, I think that's a bad poster. And to be honest, I think this is a pretty mediocre poster. The best poster is what was on the VHS and DVD cover, and that's this. This is the best cover. And to be, I'll get into that. But it has a booklet. There's a little bit of info on the film. Pretty much about the making of the film. More like a sort of a pretty long review of the film. Themes of the film, why the film is a good film, and show some inserts like this here, little inserts like this, and this. And this is what the inside looks like. Now, before I get into the Blu-ray, just sort of summing up my thoughts on the film itself. I mean, it won't be too long me summing that up, because I already did an hour-long review of the film, and I was part of a film discussion with clips and stuff in it, which the links will be put down below. Because I love the film to death. It's one of my favorites, one of my personal favorites. Of course, directed by Chuck Russell, who did Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, along with writer Frank Darabont, who helped write Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. They both worked together on this film. Chuck Russell directed, and Chuck Russell and Frank Darabont worked on the screenplay. Of course, Frank Darabont would go on to direct stuff like The Shawshank Redemption and work on stuff like the first season of The Walking Dead. Chuck Russell would go on to do The Mask and Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stars Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith, who I thought both did an excellent job in the movie. Also has Art LaFleur, who's a character actor I've seen in films like Trancers, Candy Clark, Jeffrey DeMunn, Donovan Leitch, Joe Seneca. I thought the special effects were extremely well done as well by Lyle Conway. You have Tony Gardner. A lot of great effects in this flick that I think hold up today. Some really wonderful practical special effects. Yes, I already did a video. I know there's another remake coming directed by Simon West. No, I don't look forward to it at all. Why should I? I mean, the director himself said it's all going to be CGI, and I'm sorry. It just makes me think of the Thing prequel, which I did not think was a good movie either. The Thing prequel that came out not that long ago. A few years ago. But I think this film is a smarter than you think movie. What I mean by that, it does stuff like who you think is going to be the lead character, but isn't. Characters who you think aren't going to die, like a kid dies in the movie. It goes at a good pace. It's only 90-some minutes long. It has really good bits of dialogue. I think you pissed it off. Some kind of spirit that fucked up. Kevin Dillon, his character, you think he's a typical rebel, but he's got a good heart of gold. For example, there's a scene where he takes care of this, it's a homeless guy, but he's taking care of him, making sure that he's alright. So he's a good guy at the end of the day. Shawnee Smith, she's not a damsel in distress. She's got a little bit of Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley in her. I mean, when she's getting machine gun, trying to get the Blob's attention, going, come on, you can do better than that. Great set pieces. I mean, you got the guy getting his head pulled down in a damn sink and his entire body just pulled down. You got the phone booth scene where the woman, Candy Clark, just gets pretty much obliterated in that sequence. You got Paul McCrane from RoboCop getting his body broken in half like a wishbone and pulled through. You got a lot of good set pieces. The movie theater sequence, a lot of fun stuff. And what I mean by smarter than average, even in the script, not only because I'm sure when you first saw this, there's some surprises of who died, but also stuff like it has a good sense of humor to it. When there's these guys who are buying some condoms, so to speak, and one guy kind of fucks over the other guy because the other guy sort of blames he's buying condoms on this guy, and that guy goes up with Shawnee Smith, and it's Art LaFleur who sold the condoms, and he's like, ribbed. Oh, what the hell does that mean? Watch the film to get the full meaning of what I'm talking about, and you'll get a good chuckle. I'm kind of being vague on that, didn't explain 100%, so that if you haven't seen the film, check it out. I mean, this is a very underrated movie. It doesn't get talked about a lot today, and it definitely didn't get talked about much back then because it came out in August of 1988 and it debuted at number 8. It made like $2 million in its opening weekend. It made like $8 million total, which it didn't do well. It flopped pretty much, and it got like mixed reviews at best. And it only has like a 6.3 on IMDb, which I feel that's way too damn low. I don't understand why it gets a 6.3. I think it deserves at least in the 7s or 8s. Which is, I mean, for me it's a 10 out of 10, but IMDb's not going to work that way. I don't understand the hate for this film. I don't understand why this film isn't talked about more. I don't understand why this film got so underrated when people recognize The Thing and The Fly more so. I mean, The Thing flopped, but it's recognized as one of the best, but I don't feel the Blob's gotten that respect. I mean, even the Blu-ray, which I'll get into that, but get into my thoughts on the film, I have no problems. I think the cast worked well. Shawnee Smith, she's not a damsel in distress when she's talking to Kevin Dillon. You know, you think you're different, you're just the same, you're just full of shit, Flag. Of course, talking about set pieces, this alone, really good sequence. You even have, God, what was his name? One of the Fraud Brothers, not Corey Feldman, but the other guy. He's actually in the film in a little bit. Jameson Newlander, I believe his name. He's in it as sort of a guy who works at the movie theater. I mean, yeah, that's the guy from the Lost Boys. And Bill Moseley has a tiny little cameo at the end as well, as the guy who's, because in the second half of the film you have these government guys in these white suits, protection suits, and there's a sequence in the sewer, and Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith come across this guy, and it's Bill Moseley from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and later on Devil's Rejects, and so on and so forth. So you get some character actors in there, and I believe one of them, I believe it's the guy who played the priest. I could be wrong. One of them was actually in Son of the Blob, the sequel to the original The Blob. And yes, I'm not a fan of the original Blob. I respect what it did, but I just was not a fan. But I think that's also because I saw this when I was a kid. I saw this when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. I watched this when I was a kid. I didn't see the 50s Blob till I was probably in my 20s. So seeing this when I was a kid, and then going back when I'm into my 20s, seeing the original Blob, to me there's no comparison. I think this film improves on everything. It improves on the acting, it improves on the cast, it improves on the effects, it improves on the gore, it improves on the score. I like the score by Michael Honig, who I believe had did stuff like The Gate. I could be wrong. But I thought he did a great job on the score. I loved the song at the end. It's a brave new love, by a band called Alien. Smart stuff in the script, like the slasher film in the movie theater playing called Garden Tool Massacre. I thought that was a fun bit of business. And I thought, you know, the sheriff is not an asshole. He's not a guy, oh, how dare you. He's got a warmth to him. He's a good guy. He's a guy who you would want as a sheriff. And he has a bit of common sense when he's like, no, Kevin Dillon, he didn't do it. You don't even have a drop of blood on him, and you see what happened to that kid. Like, he's got some common sense. It's like, okay, this is a guy I like. Likeable characters, fast pace, lots of action, fun bits of humor. Like when Kevin Dillon's character is escaping from these asshole government guys, jumps over this little bridge, and gives the middle finger as he jumps over the bridge, on his motorcycle. Fun bits of dialogue. The budget was used very well. Again, great special effects. I have no problems with them. It's one of my favorites of all time. Again, I did like an hour-long review, and then I did another film discussion, so I've talked about this film a lot. Now, getting to the Blu-ray, I know it's 13 minutes and I haven't given a review of the Blu-ray, but I wanted to give my thoughts on it. Fuck it, it deserves it. The review of the Blu-ray, I'm glad to have this, because I think the picture looks fine. I think it sounds fine. It's weird. Once in a while, it seems like one scene has more grain than the other scenes. And I understand you need grain, because if you wipe it all, you get bad DNR, like they did for Moontrap, which sucked. That release from Oliver Creekle. But, I don't know, it seems like it's going fine, and once in a while you get a scene that gets really, really grainy. But overall, it's a good-looking picture, good sound, isolated score track, which to me, I don't really see the purpose of that, because you listen to the score anyway with the film. I don't know. So I mean, I don't understand the deal with it. 2 trailers, one a green band and one a red band trailer. Really, the difference is that in the red band and the green band, Kevin Dillon says you ticked it off, and the red band, he says you pissed it off. And you see a little bit more blood in the red band trailer, but it's pretty much the same type of trailer. So you did that. You did an 18-minute Q&A called Friday Night Frights at the Cinefamily, where they talked with director Chuck Russell, which, by the way, that's on YouTube. I'll remember to put the link down below. That's on YouTube. So if you don't have this and you don't want to pay 50, 60 bucks just for the Blu-ray picture and sound, if you want to watch that Q&A, it's on YouTube, on the official website from the, because it was with Ryan Turek, who's with Shot Till You Drop, and that website has a YouTube channel, and that's what the Q&A is on. And it's the same as the one on this. And again, they talk with Chuck Russell about the making of the film, the effects work, about how apparently one choice for Kevin Dillon's character was going to be Richard Grieco, about how some of the stuff that the Blob was made of was stuff that thickened milkshakes at McDonald's. And then you did a commentary track with director Chuck Russell and Ryan Turek, who's sort of the moderator. And it's an alright commentary track. You know, Chuck Russell seems proud of the film, which is nice. You know, Ryan Turek seems like a fan of the film. That's also very nice. You know, they're not bashing the film. Once in a Blue Moon, Chuck Russell does talk about, especially in the Q&A, how, you know, you need practical effects, or at the very least a balance. But once in a while in the commentary track, he talks about how he would not mind wishing to go back and tune some things up with little bits of CGI, which I disagree with. Just leave it alone. But on the commentary track, it's alright. I mean, you get some bits of info. Like, for example, this is the film Chuck Russell wanted to do first. He was a fan of the original Blob. He wanted to do this as his first feature film, his debut. And he did his presentation at New Line, and they liked it. But they decided not to do the Blob, but they liked his passion. So, hey, we have this film, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. How would you like to work on that? So then this became his second film. His intention was to make a horror film, but have a sense of humor, and to not be predictable. He mentions how he first met Frank Darabont, which they worked on a screenplay for this. Actually on the film Hell Night. They met on the film Hell Night, the film with Linda Blair. But I think one was like a set assistant, one was like a production manager. Chuck Russell mentions the budget was about $10 million or under, which I know there's like a $20 million or something, but there's some other. If you go on other websites, they said the budget's higher than what Chuck Russell says. Even Chuck Russell admits that he saw the budget was higher than it really was on websites, and he says that it was $10 million or under. I guess he doesn't want to give specifics, but it was $10 million or under, which that's actually pretty good for all the stuff they put into this film. And he does say that audience knows that they want to feel a physical sense with the effects, so you need to put some in there. That Kevin Dillon's character was based on a guy he knew in high school, which I thought was pretty cool. Other actors, like he mentions that Richard Grieco was a choice for Kevin Dillon, and also Terry Hatcher was a choice for Shawnee Smith. And to be honest, I think this was the better pair. It was definitely the best choices for acting. They talk about one instance, Chuck Russell was thinking maybe he'd have the Blob be green, but he quickly realized that wouldn't work out. He tells a little bit how the marketing of the film or the release of the film was disappointing, because apparently when this film came out, there were people asking him, "Is it out? Is it out?" It makes me think of Big Trouble in Little China. Different studio, but John Caruso and that great commentary where, you know, Caruso was talking to people and they're like, well, we don't even know if it's out. We can't find it. So I think the Chuck Russell mentions how he wishes the studio would have pushed, gave more of a buzz, gave more advertisement, gave more of a push for this film, especially when you're going to release it in the summer, which was August. But I know he was disappointed about that. It's an alright commentary track. Not bad. Not one I'd listen to over and over again, but it was alright. But, you know, for this Blu-ray, I will say I have this film on VHS, which this was sent to me. I have it on DVD. I have it on Blu-ray. That's fine because I'm such a big fan of this film. I'm glad to have all three. And the fact that this was a gift was great, considering it's a limited edition, and it's great for my collection. It's an awesome job to Duckmanxxx for doing that. He didn't have to. This was a hell of a surprise. Now, if I look on another way, I would say this Blu-ray is not worth someone getting now. What I mean by that is, if you don't get this, you don't be paying 50, 60 bucks. It's not worth it. And I'm a diehard fan of the film because the film looks good and sounds good. The features are there, but again, you have an 18-minute Q&A that's on YouTube. You have trailers, which you find that on YouTube. You have an okay commentary track. But I wish Stream Factory had gotten this and not Twilight Times. That's what I hate Twilight Times. I fucking hate Twilight Times. I hate them. I hate them to death. And they released that Fright. Well, the same man sent me Fright Night, and that's the bare bones one, which I know that pissed people off because then they re-released Fright Night with features like commentary tracks, which are pretty much the commentary tracks that you can find online to download. But not because they do stuff like that, but I wish Stream Factory had done this. I think Stream Factory would have done a better job with this. In fact, I would guarantee it. And I'm the type of guy that does not kiss Stream Factory's ass. There are releases that I have a bone to pick. But when you have a film like The Blob that some people do know, I think Stream Factory would have done a better job. They at least would have had I don't like this cover. This is a theatrical poster. It just looks like some random person, this person who's not in the film, slipped and fell and strawberry milk. Someone spilled some fucking strawberry Nestle quick on the floor and someone tripped and died over it. And they'll film it from under the ground. I mean, it's like... This cover is so much better. And it's the cover on the DVD as well. What Stream Factory would have done, it would have given you the choice to flip it over like they did with Monkey Shines. They've done it with other films. I guarantee they would have done it with The Blob. Because it'd be nice to have this cover, because this is the much better cover. And I think that's what the marketing of the film when it first came out fucked up. I mean, that poster and the poster I showed earlier are lame. They should have showed this one. Because you couldn't tell which character that is. And it would have been like, whoa, what the fuck? Okay, I was like, yeah, it's a Blob movie. It looks goofy. But wow, that looks horrific. What the fuck? Let me go see that movie. Holy shit, this movie isn't fucking around. And this is, this was on VHS that they put this cover. It should have been in the theatrical poster. And that's also what should have been on this cover, to be honest. They should have picked this. I don't know why they chose this. Yes, it's a theatrical poster, but this one is better. So I thought the fact that they chose this was pretty lame. The side, I don't know, kind of looks boring. The Blob in white, typical letters. No, it just doesn't look like much to me. Nice that it has artwork. Little booklet was okay, but nothing to read again. And the features, I mean, hell, I mean, there's a little feature on YouTube called like 1988's movies, summer movies that I watched. I think it's still on YouTube. That gives a little bit behind the scenes on the Blob from back in the day. There's TV spots on YouTube. Interviews with other people. Interviews with the effects guys. Interviews with Tony Gardner, Lyle Conway. Did an interview with Frank Darabont. Did interviews with Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith. Did interviews with Candy Clark. Did interview with Donovan Leitch. Did interview maybe, guy who did The Store. And did interviews and an interview with Chuck Russell. Give more interviews. Have a documentary on the film. I mean, if the Dark Calf can have a 40-some minute documentary, I think the Blob deserves a 40-some minute documentary. Ground. Hopefully it's not. And hopefully it's not Leviathan, where Fett's just blasting the film for half the time. But it seems like I've seen interviews with some of those guys. I've read interviews, I should say, and they seem pretty proud of the film. So I don't think it would be that. But either way, I mean, I still appreciate to see that, just to see some of the behind the scenes. Like I said, I appreciate when I say this movie. I appreciate that there's more of that, weirdly enough, than of the Blob, which is strange. So I at least give credit to Scream Factory for that. And even the menu for Leviathan looked cool. Like here, the menu is just this picture, nothing interesting. I mean, even in Scream Factory does little touches like Monkey Shines, the monkey like moved on the menu screen, or the Dark Calf, like birds would flutter, and Leviathan, those bubbles would float down on the menu screen. Here is just the Blob, just this poster sitting there. It just, considering they have a limited edition, 5,000 units, I don't think they put much effort into the features. And I know at one point they had 0 features, but you know what? If you don't release this at the gate for $35, where Scream Factory are like $20, $25, they're not $35 like this. I'm not including Nightbreed and stuff, but the fact that this was $35 out of the gate, and now $50 to $80, and what you're getting at is a little bit better picture, a little bit better sound, a Q&A that you find on YouTube, trailers that you find on YouTube, and a commentary track that's okay. And the subpar poster, which this is a better cover. Kind of hard to justify $35. That's why it was hard for me, even if I had the money, to pick this up for $35. Because I'm like, I love the film to death. I'm glad. I mean, as a gift, it's awesome. I'm just talking about subjectively. Like, if you yourself paid $35, it's great for the collection. It's limited and stuff. But at the end of the day, the features are pretty damn lame and limited, and not much to it at all. And you think of John Carpenter's The Thing. At least the DVD. The Blu-ray, that's a different matter. But the DVD, at least, had a full-length like documentary and a commentary track with the director and star, and storyboards and all sorts of stuff, steel galleries, stuff like that. The Fly. David Cronenberg's The Fly has a 2-disc DVD. When this came out on DVD, it got bare bones, and then when it comes out on Blu-ray, it gets a little commentary track and a Q&A that's 18 minutes long that you find on YouTube. That's still pretty lame. Twilight Times, especially when you're charging $35 out of the gate, and now if you go on eBay, you're paying $50, $60, $80. I just picture, okay, if I bought this for $35, that I don't know if that even includes shipping and handling, let alone buying it for $50, $60, $80, I'd be like, wow, okay, cool. The film looks a little bit better, picture and sound, and okay, it's got the Q&A that I can find on YouTube for free, and isolated score track. Well, I can listen to the score while watching the movie. Trailer, that's on YouTube. Oh, okay, it's got a commentary track with the director. That's it. Great. No still galleries, no TV spots, nothing from back in the day, which I can find on YouTube. No interviews with anyone else. No feature on the special effects. Artists, Lyle Conway, Tony Gardner, other people, like, I think they mentioned some people here. Gray Jean, Hoyt Yeatman. Not even having the preferred cover, because I think this cover is a lot better than this one. So at the end of the day, it's a letdown. And I don't mean letdown from Duckmanxxx who sent this to me. Hey, getting this for free and having one of my favorite films with better picture and sound. Cool. Even though I never had a problem with the picture and sound of the DVD, so, you know, when I say better picture and sound, it's because it is a Blu-ray. I mean, not all the time, but usually that should be the case. That's like, hey, I got a burger and there's meat in it. Good, okay, that should be the case. Should it be praised for something that should be automatic? Hey, it doesn't look the exact same as a DVD. Should that be the case anyway? Is that really big praise? But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Blob Blu-ray. Great gift. But fuck Twilight Times. Fuck them for getting their hands on this movie. Because if they didn't, then someone like Stream Factory could have. I guarantee you, this would have been a prime candidate for Stream Factory. It would have been. If they don't release Invaders from Mars, which was another remake, but that film sucked, and that has a commentary and a documentary with new interviews with like the director and the star and the Fets guys, and some other features. I mean, if they did that with Invaders from Mars, I think they would do something for this movie. But Twilight Times got their grubby hands on it like they did with Fright Night, and fuck them, and fuck Twilight Times, fuck Twilight in general. Of course they suck, they got Twilight in their fucking name. Fuck you and you sparkly vampire shit. Fuck you, Twilight Times, okay? Walk down, fucking go up in an elevator, jump off, and fly to a fucking star so you burn up and never get any more goddamn movies. Fuck Twilight Times up their fucking tight ass. Okay, they're so tight, put a fucking charcoal, twist, you get a fucking diamond. Okay, fuck Twilight Times. And thank you, Duckmanxxx, for the wonderful gift. Later.